It can only be attributable to human error.
You're entering paranormal.
He meddled in things that you people. He meddled in things. He meddled in things.
Where will we go next? This phantom from another time.
No one, Mr. Muller.
That's it, man. Game over, man. Game over.
That is one big pile of shit.
Hi, I'm Alex Kaiju. To my left.
Jasmine with.
Across.
Eli Watson.
And off to the side with a beautiful smile.
Oh, Stephen Myers.
And we are Cryptid Campfire. Hey everyone, and welcome back. We got a really cool episode for you guys today, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Jasmine, where are we having a cryptid today?
Well, our previous episodes were both out of the country, and today we are coming back to the United States of America, taking a trip to Rhinelander, Wisconsin. The pine forests and wooded areas of Wisconsin.
Hey, I know some people in Wisconsin.
Are they cheeseheads?
That's what I was going to say. Are they wheels of cheese?
That's kind of a mean way to talk about the Waylands, huh? I'm
Oh! But they have the big foam cheese heads.
Anyways, so we're talking about the Hodag, huh?
Yeah, I feel like most episodes I try to keep it a mystery. I'm like, today we're in this area of the world and we're talking about a creature that's like this, but the name of the creature is in the title, so there's no reason to be mysterious about it. We're talking about the Hodag, guys.
Talking about the Hodag, American tradition.
Yes, sir. Fun fact, I did not look into this at all, but I remember reading that the Hodag apparently crosses over with some Paul Bunyan stories at some point.
Indeed.
They have fights to the death.
That'll come up later, I think.
Anyways, so we're in Rhinelander, Wisconsin,
Yes.
Ooh.
which is a heavily wooded region.
We've got a fire-breathing, 200-pound, 7-foot-long lizard-like beast covered with horns and spikes. It's the head of a frog, an elephant's face, short legs, and a long tail hooked at the end.
Also, it's got... I got a report that said it's got 13 spikes down its back.
Exactly
Whoa.
13?
13 exactly. And they're all different sizes, and the largest one's on the very tip of the tail.
Really?
Yeah, it's kind of scary.
Yeah.
And he's a stinky boy, because he smells like dead buzzards and skunks.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah. And then
Buzzards.
I read that it was incredibly self-aware of
Yes!
how ugly it was.
Oh, yeah.
no.
So, yeah.
Sad.
Yeah, and it gets sad. Sometimes you can hear it crying.
Yeah,
right?
they said it echoes throughout the woods.
Really?
Fits of bitter weeping.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Into a
That's so
melancholic
sad.
state.
You want to know what he eats?
Sadness.
Bulldogs.
White bulldogs, right?
Yeah, that's a treat. His diet consists of water snakes, oxen, mud turtles, and white bulldogs.
Oh, everything I read said it exclusively ate white bulldogs.
Yeah, it says, I mean, I read what Jasmine had, but I also read that it said white bulldogs were its dinner of choice.
Yeah. It's
If the occasion called for it.
It's like the commercials, was it Fancy Feast, where it's like the little white dog, and they have the fancy butler giving it the food. But then the big Hodag comes and eats the dog.
Special skills include strength of an ox, ferocity of a bear, and the cunning of a fox. They can climb trees like a bear, but they apparently do not run very fast.
Because he's got short, stumpy legs with big claws.
And
He's weighed down by his tail.
supposedly it never laid down. I only read this in one source.
Nice. He's like a shark.
But it never laid down, and it slept by leaning against the trunks of trees. So supposedly... We say supposedly very strongly. Supposedly, the only way it could be captured was by cutting deeply into the trunks of its favorite trees so that it would, lean up onto it and, fall in or something stupid like that.
It's like a turtle can't get back up.
But...
Oh, my worst fear, an angled tree.
And I don't have multiple sources to back this up. I only have one. Do any of you know what is the one thing that can guaranteedly kill a Hodag?
Dynamite.
No.
Lemons.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Lemons?
Okay, but why?
I don't know.
Oh, it just...
We just have to
it's
accept
too
it.
The
tart.
citrus. Yeah, it's too tart. Yeah.
Because its life is already sad and pathetic enough that when life gets its lemons, it just dies.
Oh, no. That's so sad.
It's like a Morrissey song.
Oh my god. It's
So, where does the name Hodag come from? I read that according
From the Greek word
I
Horatius,
didn't-
which means frog face.
Does it really?
And Ragdocious, which means stumpy legs.
Are you lying? You're pulling my leg. No, according to historian and author of Long Live the Hodag, Kurt Kortenhoff, the word Hodag originated as lumberjack slang for a grub hoe, which is a kind of heavy-duty hoe, or a maddox, which is a kind of flat-faced pickaxe. However, lumberjacks believed that the creature embodied the restless spirits of dead lumber oxen. So the reason we're talking about lumber is because it's important for this creature. The timber industry has a lot to do with where this creature was seen. And oxen were commonly used as work animals in timber camps. They had demanding lives. I have a quote from Kortenhoff saying that not only were these beasts of burden assigned the most difficult tasks of the trade, but they also endured all of the profanity and crass lumberjacks could dish out. So because the oxen had absorbed the worst profanity during their lives, the demons that sprang from them had vile and vengeful souls.
Whoa.
Yikes.
So the lumberjacks were just working up a storm of bad words and it killed the oxen.
Basically. I mean, I thought that lumberjacks were like supposed to be like nice people.
It's the hidden
Yeah.
truth.
I
The hidden
think
truth.
of the brawny man, right?
Yeah,
Isn't he a lumberjack?
like
I
the
think so.
lumber industry and like the mining industry is just like that's where like all the societal rejects go. Because like,
Cutthroat.
That's
just
where they
to like
finish off
cut
their
trees,
lives.
like that's a lot of work,
That,
bro.
that's
It's like,
have you ever heard the Monty Python song?
no.
Sure, it's like, oh, I'm a lumberjack and I'm okay. I sleep all night and I work all day.
Oh no.
Truly.
And it's just like it goes on how he's like, oh, he cuts down trees and he does this, but he also like presses wildflowers and he likes to wear dresses and drink tea and crumpets, like all lumberjacks.
Well, our main story today comes from one timber cruiser named Eugene Simeon Shepard. And I did not know what a timber cruiser was. Obviously, it had something to do with trees, but I didn't actually understand what it was.
Right.
But I did find out that timber cruising or land looking was a profession that assessed tracts of forested property for the value of the lumber that could be produced from the land's trees.
But so he had to like scope out for all the timber snakes, right?
I guess, yeah, that's part of the job, right?
Yeah, because the timber snakes they burrow into the trees.
You're lying to me.
They burrow into the tree, and if you cut one down, it falls over, and snakes just pop out.
Yeah, dude,
like a
that-
can of like mixed nuts.
No, that little pop-up thing, you know, that little can where and the things pop out.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Yeah,
Spring loaded.
spring-loaded tree snake action.
Sorry. Where are we at?
Don't be sorry. I was just segueing for the shepherd
yeah.
story.
Yeah, we're there.
We're there.
Yeah, I just read that he saw the Hodag while he was out hiking.
Yeah, it was a pretty simple
Yeah.
story to start with. He just saw it out in the woods.
He found some tracks, right?
Are you? See, I can't tell if you're
Well,
like.
this is the actually I did find the story the first time he came with the Hodag. It's not a joke. So
Oh, okay.
this is the real
That's what I
story.
was waiting for.
So, from what I read, he was out scoping because that makes sense because I didn't know why he was out there, but
Yeah,
it's a
he was
cruiser.
working.
He found giant footprints. He said I think were like a frying pan with 3 claws.
Yeah.
He tracked a little bit more. Then he found fur, and it
Oh.
was like black and green bits of fur.
Okay.
And then I think along the way that's where he saw the Hodag kind of come out. I think by like a river area.
Okay.
He saw it, and that's when he ran back to camp and told his other guys, "Hey, I just saw this big monster." And then that's, I think, when the first time he gets a ragtag group together to hunt down the Hodag.
Correct. So yeah, he brought a bunch of townspeople and lumberjacks with him to the area where he had seen the Hodag, so that they could try and catch it.
Form an angry mob.
Their weaponry included heavy rifles and large bore squirt guns loaded with poison water.
Poison water.
Yeah.
I bet it had lemon juice in it.
Ooh.
They knew from the get-go.
Oh, and they had honey dogs with them too.
They did. They did
Dang,
have
dude,
dogs.
they pulled out all stops.
They got the pitchforks, flaming pitchforks too.
So when they got there, they found the Hodag in the same area, and they tried the dogs, they tried the guns, they tried everything, but it was all unsuccessful.
They say, is that where they sent the bulldog, right?
This is where we
And
learned.
it ate the dog?
Yeah, I just shredded
It-
it.
In
quote,
one gulp.
Scattered about the place, small fragments of the hunting dogs.
Jeez
Shredded it up, dude.
Louise.
Yeah, basically it tore it to shreds. I don't know how many dogs were supposed to be there, though.
Dang, dude, I've seen a dog eat a chicken before.
Really?
Oh.
Oh, no.
So I can only imagine a Hodag eating a dog. It's just like brutal.
There's like a pack of them, and they jump on it, and he just opens his mouth in one big gulp. And he starts spitting the bones out.
But not only did they bring the guns, not only did they bring the squirt guns, not only did they bring the dogs, but they also brought...
The last
Dynamite.
resort.
Dynamite.
Yes, all of those things.
The last resort.
Yeah.
They blew the sucker
This is our
up.
final hope.
Mr. President, it's code red. Hodag has gone critical. We need the nukes.
Now, they did use dynamite, but what I find interesting about this, I guess I don't really know how dynamite works. It goes boom.
You light one
Right.
end and you throw it.
It
like
goes-
like in Jojo Rabbit.
Yeah, it goes boom, but I guess when I've seen dynamite used, like, it explodes things. But
Right.
the story says that the explosion caused a fire, which ignited the Hodag, killing it. So, like, the Hodag
Oh.
itself didn't blow up, but it caught fire.
Well, yeah, I mean, that makes sense because...
They were just
obviously-
tossing it, so I
What-
mean, it probably bounced.
What if
off.
it was
Yeah.
like a Molotov cocktail?
No, I mean,
yeah,
a
if anything, it
TNT
just
can
bounced
start a
off,
fire.
yeah.
I mean,
Mm.
just like the explosion itself is like flames. So, like,
Yeah.
you know, and apparently it's covered in fur, which I feel like I didn't know that till this moment.
Yeah, they say it's got like green and black
Yeah.
fur.
Yeah. And so, like, I mean,
I
that,
don't think I saw that either.
yeah, I didn't see anything about fur, but
Is
yeah,
it-
so it caught on fire.
Could you imagine the smell
No,
Ooh,
thank
of
you.
yeah.
it caught on fire?
Okay, but
dead
this is,
buzzard.
I'm glad you said that though, because I was picturing they like got it and like blew it up.
Like, stuck it in its mouth and then...
Yeah, just like, yeah, and I was
It-
like, how would there be
it-
anything left?
It was
Yeah.
going after the dogs, and someone threw the dynamite in its mouth, and it was up to Shepard. He's like, "Smile, you son of a!" Blew it up.
But yeah,
Jaws.
Yeah.
but yeah, there were remains. There were charred remains that were apparently taken
Yeah.
back to Rhinelander to be displayed.
They started selling Hodag
Yeah, so
turkey legs.
That's
dude.
why I was
Oh,
confused because I
gross.
saw the picture of the charred remains and it
Oh.
said they blew it up with TNT and I was like, but how?
I see.
But that makes sense.
Yeah.
Or it was in a drunken stupor, and the dynamite caught the alcohol on fire, and it just went up.
What?
Or he fell asleep with a cigarette in his mouth.
Now, this story became publicized not just through like talk of the town, but because Shepard himself wrote an illustrated column for the newspaper in 1893 talking about his experience with the Hodag.
Yeah. It's a nice drawing.
Isn't that crazy? He just like came forth, was like, "Hey, I blew up this weird monster."
It's like, I found a thing. Here's the thing. Read
And
about
so
the thing.
he killed it the same day, right?
Yeah.
Like,
I'm not sure the exact dates. I know obviously it was in the same year. This all happened in 1893. I don't know how soon after blowing the thing up he went to write the article.
No, I
yeah.
meant like him
No, yeah,
discovering the
'cause
tracks.
I-
Yes, that's
yeah,
all the same day.
Yeah, dude, that's
the,
crazy.
The timeline's like he found it. Maybe a couple hours later, angry mob shows up with dynamite.
Yeah, I read that it was in the same spot that he left it.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Okay. Wow. That was pretty quick.
Right?
And then, interesting note, so he wrote this article in 1893. And then in 1895, the Centralia Lumber Company started running newspaper ads twice a month. And they used Shepard's illustration of the Hodag and provided a new bit of information about the Hodag in each display ad. So they were using the Hodag for their own financial benefit there,
Right.
which I think is
Oh.
interesting. And then it comes...
Sleazy capitalism.
And then we get another story in 1896.
Oh.
Yeah, and that's when he claimed to have found one again, right?
Right.
But this time captured it alive
Correct.
through the help of bear wrestlers.
Not just any bear wrestlers. Russian bear wrestlers.
Wait, really?
Is it really? Yeah, this is real.
I didn't know
He-
this part.
Yeah, yeah, bear
So
wrestlers.
3 years later, after he blew up the first one, he gets his ragtag group together. He said, "Everyone, we're going to catch the Hodag this time.
We're gonna get a live one.
I need the best of the best." He gets his Russian bear wrestlers. He gets the best lumberjacks that he can find.
Okay.
The biggest, burliest men that he could find.
The strongest chloroform.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
And
too.
they get the biggest stick
Yeah,
they
they
could
didn't
find.
even need the guys.
Like, look at all the brawn we have.
Look at all
and
the
the
mu-
chemicals.
They're like, look at all the muscle. Now use this stick with chloroform on it.
Poke that stick at it
Yeah,
until it falls
because-
asleep.
He found it in a mine shaft, correct?
Some
Sleeping.
sort of den is what
I thought,
read.
because according to my documentary Attack of the Hodag, which
A
I will-
YouTube exclusive.
I will bring up more. It's like some old. It like looks like it's ripped from VHS.
Okay,
And
nice.
so it said that Shepard believed a whole family of Hodags was living in an abandoned mine shaft, and so it was in there that they were using the sticks with the chloroform at the end.
Mm-hmm.
Like a
to-
sponge.
Yeah, to try to get it. It was kind of trapped in there.
Man, could you imagine? But like, if it was like you get a bunch of lumberjacks, you get the rope. They got ropes. They got like old timey lanterns, and it's just them going into this big cave, descending into it.
And they
Like-
literally poke it with a stick.
But then it becomes like aliens. They're like in the alien hive, and the Hodags have like encased
Ew.
everything in their own stinky,
Gross.
gross mucus. And it's all Geiger
It's
esque.
like the cotton candy cocoons.
Yeah, and then they suck out the guts of people.
Yeah. I just love picturing these guys like poking that thing
Yeah.
and knocking it out, and then
They're like, is
tying
it-
it up and pretending that they like tried really hard and bringing it to town, all
Woo-wee.
wrapped up and lassoed up. Like, look what we got.
Yeah.
We did it.
But yeah, they brought it back to town so that they could they brought it to the Rhinelander Fairgrounds and confined it into a pit that resembled its den, whether it was a mine shaft or wherever it was. Quote, in order that the animal would not discover the deception being practiced upon him. So they wanted to like
They Truman showed him.
and this was days before the opening of Oneida County's first fair. And this is where Shepard decided to make bank and display the Hodag for people to come view.
Yeah.
You pay a nickel, I think the admission was.
A dime.
A dime?
dime
Ooh,
a thing.
a dime
That's
in-
too
double it.
expensive, bro. I'm
In
out.
1896, a dime?
Yeah.
They're
That
just
could
flicking
buy-
dimes into the den.
Yeah, they could buy an orphan with that.
It was the most popular attraction at the fair, and like we said, a dime a peek from the far end of a dimly lit tent.
Really?
And, yeah.
Yeah, right? That's
That's a cheat, dude.
Oh yeah.
And then after the fair, Shepard quit his job as a timber cruiser, took up one as a real estate broker, and spent the rest of his life promoting Rhinelander and the Hodag that made it famous.
Hey.
not just that.
The end, right?
Oh, well, not just that. He took the beast because he made a big old pit in his own backyard.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah,
and then he threw
did.
the beast in there chained with this giant rusty chain around its neck.
Okay, wait, maybe
with
this isn't a lie.
spikes in it, so if it got too restless, it'd choke itself.
Oh, puny Hodag.
I thought I was with you for a second.
Well, no, he did actually. So he made a big pit in his backyard,
Yeah.
put it in there with a chain, and then he put a stone barn house over it. I think.
What?
He made a structure over it, so it was like kind of like Buffalo Bill. Like he kept it at the bottom of a well.
Yeah, he did display it at other fairs as well, and then he took it to his home to display it there too. So
And then
Yeah.
he was getting ready to feed it in the morning. He's like, all right, come on, little bulldog. It's time to go have a fun adventure.
no.
As he carried it into the pit, when he saw that the chain had been ripped in half and there were claw marks up the side. And the Hodag had escaped back into nature.
But yeah, guys, that's a Hodag. Thanks for listening to this
Yeah,
episode.
And so it's still out there.
But
and
that's
it's still
from the
hungry.
Smithsonian, right?
That's
That is not the end.
That's not the end of the story. There was a lot of people that were intrigued by the Hodag, scared of the Hodag, fearful of it,
Mhm.
and word got to the Smithsonian, and the Smithsonian was like, "Yo, we're gonna come take a look at this thing," and then that's when we learned, and that's when Shepard admitted that it was all a hoax.
Dude,
It-
you were supposed to be our shepherd.
No,
you
you
were
weren't.
supposed to guide us.
You prankster!
You were the chosen one.
When I
You were
found
supposed to bring balance to the state fair, but ground, not destroy it.
When I was doing my initial research for this, I found it's very easy to look up and quickly find out that the Hodag is a hoax. But I had messaged Eli. I was like, this is a hoax, right? Are we still gonna talk about it? He's like, yeah, it's cool.
It is.
The story is really cool, and that's why there's still a lot to talk about regarding this story.
Well, Shepard has a history of hoaxing and pranking. So, I think I read in an interview with the mayor of Rhinelander, he was like the king of BSing things. So, Jasmine's gonna share a story.
He used to own and run a resort in Star Lake near Rhinelander, and he was known to carve wooden fish and rig them with wires to make them jump, tempting guests to stay longer and fish.
Oh.
Dude, it's all about the money.
He's a clever man.
So there's
No denying.
There's a little bit of backstory about how Shepard got kind of involved in this story that goes along with his job as a timber cruiser and kind of the lumberjack lore and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So as a timber cruiser, Shepard spent many days and nights alone with a small team of people deep in the undeveloped North Woods. And part of lumber camp culture, after a day's work was done, was storytelling.
Around the campfire.
Yeah.
Whoa,
around
just like
campfire.
us, guys.
Oh, we're lumberjacks.
So there's an
Are we
amateur.
Hodags?
Are we Hodags? There's an amateur folklorist and editor of the website lumberwoods.com. His name is Lenwood Sharp. I have some quotes from him here. He says, folklore tends to develop among people who are relatively isolated. When you have a group of people isolated from the rest of society for months at a time, they will generally get to talking. A similar phenomenon occurred in the U.S. military.
It's just like when little kids, like, say they've seen stuff, but they're just making it up,
Yeah.
But, like, they're adults.
Yeah. Because, like...
But wait.
We're all still trying to be the coolest kid on the playground.
Literally, though, because, like, at lumber camps, they didn't have radios, they didn't have televisions, they, like, relied on each other for entertainment, and all of the men were, like, expected to provide some kind of diversion, so, like, musicians would play their instruments, other men would play cars, but a lot of them would tell stories and do that whole one-up thing, like, they'd bring myths with them from, like, their old countries, because not everybody who was a timber cruiser was from the U.S.,
Right.
so, like, different countries' lore and myths would come into it, and stories would be a group effort where the men would take turns trying to outdo each other and like exaggerate and use absurd and outrageous techniques, and they were just like keeping themselves entertained.
It's like Beowulf, basically.
Yeah, and so when the Smithsonian decided that they wanted to come out and look at the Hodag, that's when everybody was like, oh, this isn't real, and like he came out and admitted what exactly was happening.
Why wouldn't he try to, like, cut a deal with them? Be like, yo, say this is real, and I'll give you 20%.
I mean, honestly.
You can't buy the Smithsonian.
Yeah, right.
But it was the Hodag, I guess. So this is what I'm wondering. So we have two stories, and I want to know how much of the first story was true. Because we know that the second story isn't true. Like, I want to know where the truth started. Like, when did the Hodag show up? You know?
And did people actually use dynamite to blow something
Yeah,
up?
because there
They're
is
just throwing it at trees.
well, there is a
Yeah.
picture. There is a picture that you can find where there's a group of like lumberjacks and men.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
Shepard is apparently one of the people in this photo.
Going with the stick,
and they're like
yeah.
all pointing sticks and stabby things at this Hodag, which is very obviously some kind of sculpture and not a live
It's really
creature.
cute looking.
But so I'm like, when did that picture get taken? Like, I know what the timeline is for the actual events because none of it actually happened.
Right.
But, like, I want to know, because if he said he brought all of these people with him, like,
Yeah.
was anybody asking around, like, hey, did you go capture the Hodag? Like, who were all these lumberjacks and Russian bear wrestlers?
Yeah,
that
right.
were-
Yeah.
I think.
Where did they get this poison water?
Yeah, I think Shepard was just like flying solo his whole prankster career.
You think?
So I think everybody was like just super stoked to be included.
Yeah, it's true. Like, if what you're saying is true, it was probably just his lumberjack buddies who are in the photo. You know?
Eugene wants us in, no way.
You know what I mean? Yeah, and just like, that's another story you can tell, you know? And then you can point to the photo and be like, see, look, I was there, you know?
He was the original hype beast of 1893.
Yeah.
I like to imagine they were just like drunk, throwing dynamite at trees.
Oh yeah.
But there was something displayed at the state fair because people came and saw it. It obviously wasn't a live creature.
It was Shepard like in a bad costume on the other side of the room.
Kind of, a little bit. In a way, I mean, this thing was actually sculpted by him and his friend Luke Kearney, according to an essay by the Wisconsin Historical Society. And this is funny, too, because, like, the legends all say it's, like, this 200-pound fire-breathing creature, but the sculpture was 7 feet long and 30 inches high, and it was black and hairy, and it did have 12 horns rising along its spine and short legs ending with long claws. But what it was made from was wood and reeking animal hides. So this is where we get
that
the smelling thing from. Apparently, he roped his sons into it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
They do the screams.
Do they really?
That's what I read.
Oh, wow.
That they were like in the room behind, like moving it and doing all the screams and the growls.
Oh, sick.
Yeah, they
That's
moved
kinda
it.
cool.
Would that be wild?
Yeah.
They moved it on strings and wires like it were a puppet, and they did the growling and the hissing, and I guess there was a chain link fence involved too. They were like banging on.
Oh, dang. They had the aluminum foil to make the lightning sound effects.
Yeah.
I got my 10 cents worth.
Gee willikers.
So when he would bring people in and out of the tent, he would do it quickly. Because like, this is for your own safety, you know.
Right.
Bring them in and out quickly, and then this is the part where like he's involved. He would go in wearing like a normal outfit, and he would come out of the tent with like shredded clothes. Like he had changed his clothes into a shredded version of what he was wearing to make people think he'd been attacked.
Dang, crazy.
And then I feel like this is the reason that it gets so popular, because some fairgoers got caught up by the special effects and believed that the Hodag was real, and then newspapers from across the country reported about the Hodag as if it were real.
Right.
You probably figure because it's what, like 1893, 96 or so. And it's like a lumberjack county fair to where they're just like, hey, listen, here's booze, here's food, but mostly booze. And so you got a bunch of drunk people giving out 10 cents to see this like weird animal that sounds like a couple of kids screaming.
Everyone's just wasted, like squinting
And
in the
they're
dark.
just like, they're like, my God, it's insane.
Yeah.
And they're
it's
like, "We're-"
huge.
I can, and they even like see the fire coming out of it because they're just like so wasted.
Dang.
Sometimes I wonder why someone would go through such trouble for a hoax.
And then
Dude,
you see
because-
YouTube nowadays, and it makes complete sense.
It was a prank.
I don't know. We should ask Todd Standing about that. Just kidding. Whoa.
Whoa.
But
Redacted.
there was a reason for this. Like when I did the research for this, like I said, I messaged Eli and I was like, this is a hoax, like, are we still gonna cover it? And he was like, yeah, it's cool, it's a cool story. And I was like,
Yeah, bro.
okay, why? And then I kept reading and realized that it was kind of a cool story that gives me a little bit of mixed emotions, because I see the intent behind it. I appreciate the intent, which we'll talk about in just a minute. But like at the same time, I'm like kind of annoyed. Basically, before doing this episode, I didn't know anything about the timber industry. Like, I don't know anything about cutting down trees except for the Family Force 5 song Chainsaw.
That's funny.
Whoa.
Family Force 5. Yes.
But
You ever seen Twin Peaks?
I have not, but I did go to the RR Cafe when it popped up here in Los Angeles so that I could try and get some cherry pie, but there was none left.
Oh, damn fine coffee, though.
Yeah, I took a picture
You
by that
watch your
sign.
mouth. You come here spouting your crap.
But basically, in 1896, Rhinelander was like in a crisis. It was only founded 14 years earlier on the sole strength of the lumber industry. So the city had grown like very quickly,
Just a lumber town.
but then totally depleted its supply. Like totally just chopped it all down like ASAP.
Yeah.
And so the surrounding pine forests like disappeared so quickly, and the number of pine trees were dwindling as thousands of lumberjacks mowed them down. So in 1890, according to the Wisconsin Historical Society, 23,000 men worked in more than 450 logging camps.
Jeez.
Wow.
So
Whoa.
half the city's
excessive.
I almost said law mills. Half the city's sawmills had already closed, moved on. Anyone that was remaining was like forced to extend their operations further and further from the mills each season. So basically the town just was like not doing good, and the people of the community were like determined that Rhinelander would survive. And so this is why like Shepherd was like a do-gooder for his town, because he wanted people to come. Like, he wanted people, I read a quote that said he wanted people to come get off the train and stay for a while or something like that. And so this is why he used his talents.
Yeah, I mean, it's a sad thing, you know. A lot of those, like, mining towns had a similar thing, you know. It's just like, once that supply is gone, the reason for the town isn't there anymore.
I mean, that's ghost towns, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's...
Because especially, like, here, like, in California and stuff, there's just ghost towns everywhere, because there was the big California gold rush.
Gold rush, yeah.
Towns popped up everywhere, and then the gold was gone, and it just... You have cities just abandoned.
Yeah.
So it's kind of crazy to think this industries pop up and die.
Yeah.
So the people believed that the key to keeping Rhinelander alive and vibrant was to put it front and center in the attention of people looking to start anew, build business, and help development. The Hodag might just create a spectacle that would attract more people to Rhinelander and Wisconsin's Northwoods. He could command attention by making outlandish statements and too-good-to-check claims, even though the Smithsonian would later try to check those claims, which, thanks to modern technology and a newly powerful national news media, would spread across the country and the world. So he basically started a campaign to try and get people to come to this town. He worked through organizations such as Rhinelander Businessmen's Association and the Rhinelander Advancement Society. They attempted to attract agriculture, tourism, and non-lumber mill related industry to the city. And that is what happened. Rhinelander bridged the gap between lumber boomtown and industrial center as the surrounding countryside converted its cut-over lands into farming fields. And then the Hodag played a part in addition by being the most unique aspect of Rhinelander local color. So yeah, the whole reason that they did it was to get people to come to the town, and it sounds stupid, but it worked.
Hey man, desperate times call for desperate measures.
Hey, well, yeah, it worked. I mean, yeah.
What would you call him a con artist?
Yes.
Yeah?
I mean, yes and no, but
I mean,
like...
Aren't all famous people con artists in their own way?
Are we all con artists in a way?
Yeah, I mean, think about... Alright, here we go. Gonna give a little spiel real quick. How much does it cost to build an iPhone? It costs $100.
Really?
And they sell it for over $1,000. So, yes, I would say Apple is a con artist. But
Interesting.
And
I
they
feel
tell you
like-
that they're awesome, but they aren't.
you know? And I feel like this guy, at least you were getting a cool experience, and it brought more people to the town. So, like, it was good for him, but it was also good for everyone else. So, and it's still good for the Rhinelander.
it still is good. What's interesting is supposedly he never he never made direct claims, this is real or this is a real creature. So I think I mentioned a folklorist named Lenwood Sharp earlier. He doesn't call Shepherd a con artist.
Yeah.
A con, Sharp argues, requires an intention to deceive, and Shepherd's Hodag was always presented with a wink and a nudge. And in the context of the era, the Hodag was part of the lumber camp lore, a tall tale that most people understood to be an exaggeration in fiction. Shepherd was honest about the story when asked, and most people saw the Hodag as parody. But the whole reason that this took off and people believed that it was real for a short time was because this was during a time of scientific exploration and inquiry. So unknown animals being discovered in a different part of the country that you can't get to or you can't actually see for yourself was more believable than it is today. So yeah. Like you said, he continued to exhibit it, and people still wanted to come see it. Even after he admitted it was a hoax, people still came to pay and see it because they were like, oh, this is a successful hoax. I want to see it.
It's sick.
Yeah, I want to see a Hodag.
Yeah, I do too.
Apparently, the Hodag that was displayed was destroyed in a fire, though.
No.
I didn't find very
Dynamite
much-
again.
Maybe. I didn't find very much information on where the fire was or what happened, but apparently it got
Dude,
lost.
that
that
would
He
be
burned his own
interesting.
creation.
What if it was one of those lumberjack buddies that took the original photo with him
Mm-hmm.
and was mad that not only was Shepard making money on it, but that he admitted it was a hoax and it was still successful. So he was like really wasted and threw dynamite at it, blew it up.
Yeah, Johnny Appleseed was mad.
Johnny Appleseed.
It was Paul Bunyan. Oh, did we get back to
No,
Paul
we
Bunyan?
never talked about it.
Paul Bunyan hasn't come up yet because I kind of had him in like the pop culture section.
Where are we now?
Pop, pop,
We
pop.
are now in Shepard's memory.
Okay, Shepard's memory. What he remembered that day, nobody will know.
So it is kind of a sad story though, because Shepard, even though he was like this good storyteller and showman, he did become isolated from his family and friends. There's stories that he was a heavy drinker, took his pranks too far, treated his wives and children terribly. Wives being plural because he like married and divorced, not because he had multiple wives at
Oh,
the
he's a
same
polygamist.
Yeah.
time. But he apparently abused them and became very violent and reckless in actions and language.
Oof.
And he like showed signs of dementia towards the end of his life, as well as being physically weak. So that all really freaking sucks.
It was all that
Yeah.
poison water he was drinking.
But
Yeah.
he died of chronic nephritis, which is an inflammation of his kidneys that ultimately leads to kidney failure on March 26th of 1923. He was 69 years old.
Nice.
If you or a loved one has been infected with what's it?
Mesothelioma.
No, wait,
you
chronic
just said.
bronchitis or
Walking.
Walter
Chronic-
Cronkitis.
Chronic nephritis. Guys, this is a real disease, okay? People
I'm
really
so-
die.
All right, I'm sorry. It's not funny.
Walter
But-
Cronkite here.
So this is another reason why there's like mixed emotions for
Sure.
me personally, because like he was kind of a terrible person, but he did a lot for the town by bringing this story to life.
You have to kind of give and take, because like this would be a good Coen Brothers movie
Gotta separate the art from the artist.
about a man who's trying to get his rundown town on the map, played by John C. Reilly,
Oh my
directed by the
god,
Coen Brothers.
I can see it.
Okay.
And he's got Bill Murray as his friend. Bill Murray's like an old lumberjack who's like disgruntled, and he's like, I don't care anymore, but I'll help you with their crazy scheme to make a Hodag. Then they discover a real Hodag,
Oh boy.
and then they discover the real power of friendship.
Yep.
What?
So for a time after, like immediately after he had passed away, the town didn't really embrace him. Like, you know, he wasn't an icon or anything like that. But
Probably understandably so.
yeah, so he died in 1923, but then by the 1930s, the hoax gradually became a Wisconsin legend, and Shepard's reputation as the eccentric, fun-loving Northwoodsman took hold. Shepard actually did give a quote explaining why he, quote, captured the Hodag after the whole 1896 thing. So this is after it's come out that it was fake, I think. But he said, by no means is all the progress to be credited to the Hodag, but the Hodag did his bit. Not only hundreds, but thousands of people came to view the Hodag, and not one of them went away without having learned a little more about northern Wisconsin. And it is safe to guess that each one of those thousands told others what they had seen and heard. In this way, the beauties, opportunities, and resources of northern Wisconsin spread, and many who came out of curiosity only have come to make their home with us. Long live the Hodag.
Yeah,
Yeah.
dude, because there's more in Wisconsin than just cheese.
There's the Hodag. He came in, he did his duty, and he died a proud man.
Whoa.
They got that 70s show, dude.
Yeah, but that's kind of sad, but...
What if the Hodag was in that 70s show?
What?
They're all just like hanging
Does
out in
that
the
70s
basement.
show take place in Wisconsin?
Yeah.
Really?
Oh, yeah, because I love Wisconsin.
Oh, yeah!
They're all
Because
just
they
like,
do say that.
they're all hanging out in the basement doing the gag.
Yeah,
And then the
that's
Hodag
right.
breaks through the wall and attacks them.
Down the street.
Ba, 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 ba.
Breaks through the wall in the basement?
Yeah.
What?
They can burrow.
But yeah,
It eats Fez.
basically now, the Hodag is embraced in Rhinelander in the same type of way that Mothman is in Point Pleasant.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Or like the
Or the
Flatwoods,
Flatwoods
Monster.
or Bigfoot in the Pacific
Or like
Northwest.
Roswell, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, or like
With
Roswell.
the UFOs and aliens and stuff.
Dang,
Yeah,
dude, a lot of places.
it's
Wait a
like
second.
it's like, hey man, just make your own cryptid and put your town on the map.
Yeah, I mean, for real.
But yeah, you mentioned Paul Bunyan earlier, and
Oh, Bunyan.
So the sightings and the stories that Shepard had told about the Hodag earned mention in some Paul Bunyan stories. Now, I'm gonna be honest. I I've heard of Paul Bunyan. I didn't ever know if he was like a real author or if he like his stories. Like, I didn't know anything about Paul Bunyan. I still don't really know.
He's America's first kaiju.
Yeah, I know, he's ginormous, dude. Yeah.
So did someone write stories
I
about
think he's
Paul
just like
Bunyan?
folklore.
Yeah,
I
he's
mean,
folklore because
Just like-
they say like what he was because he's a big giant man who's a lumberjack who he cut down like so many trees that's like the Great Plains.
Yeah.
He took a nap and like fell over a rock and that made the Grand Canyon or
Oh,
something.
I thought it was because he
What?
pissed.
Well, that or something like
Oh,
that
yeah.
too. I think there's like
What?
dirty.
There's like different versions.
There's versions where he like does something dirty and that makes like the Old Smoky or whatever, you know. Like,
Yeah.
This is so
Yeah, it's
interesting.
just like- yeah.
So like,
and so it's a
so
bunch.
he's like a gross guy.
Well, you
guess.
going back to the camp
He's
tale
got no
of
limits.
lumberjacks.
Okay.
You get a bunch of gross, sweaty, grumbly men who cut down trees, and they're like, "Well, what do you want to do? Did you hear about the 19-foot tall man who, was a giant, and when he pees, that made the Grand Canyon?
Yeah.
He's got a giant ox that's blue and." It sits down and makes big butt prints, and that's
Yeah.
like the Great Lakes.
But this is how the Hodag is intertwined into the Paul Bunyan tales, because apparently in its first life, the Hodag was the ox that belonged to Paul Bunyan, and
Whoa!
upon its
Dude.
death,
This is the new MCU.
Oh no!
upon its death, the ox was burned for 7 years to cleanse it of the profanity of its master. This is where I started questioning.
Paul
like,
Bunyan.
Is
Yeah,
Paul Bunyan
he's
like a terrible person?
I mean, he's crass, I guess.
But 7 years was not long enough, because the soul of the ox emerged from the ashes in the shape of a Hodag, exuding a foul odor.
Bro, dude.
That raises so many questions about the afterlife.
I
A
did.
Hodag
Paul
Phoenix.
Bunyan, Johnny Appleseed, and Bigfoot are the North American Avengers. And they have to fight the Hodag.
I did find a
But
pamphlet.
it's just a baby Hodag, and the big giant one comes out.
I did find a pamphlet online as well. It's called Paul Bunyan Natural History Folklore Pamphlet. It was written by Charles E. Brown in 1935. And he was the curator of the Museum of the State Historical Society of Wisconsin.
So it's a studio.
And the secretary of the Wisconsin Archaeological Society. And this is why I get confused, because this pamphlet, this Paul Bunyan pamphlet, tells the story of Shepard's encounter with the Hodag. But there's some extra facts
Oh.
that I didn't find anywhere else, saying that Shepard apparently captured a female Hodag with 13 eggs, and all of them hatched, and he taught the Hodags how to do tricks, hoping to exhibit them at his next museum thing.
That's pretty sick, dude.
He's like training like the little baby Hodag.
Yeah, that's a Red Dead side mission, dude. That's like,
But yeah, the town is like Hodag Central now. If you go
yeah.
and visit, like
It's a Hodag
They
what
love,
are,
Hodag.
they love the Hodag.
what
up
are some
there.
of the things that you guys read about that are there?
They have the Hodag Festival, I think.
Mhm.
It's like a yearly get together towards. I think they have like games and food and all kinds of activities, and there's like a pretty nice website for the Hodag.
Oh, really?
It's the explorerhinelander.com, which is
Oh,
where I
yeah.
got some of my info.
Oh.
It's
Yeah.
like a little travel website, and they're just like everything you need to know about the Hodag.
Yeah,
He's even
that's
in a
pretty sick.
Scooby-Doo episode.
Yeah,
It's
he
true.
is. I've seen it multiple times.
And I
now.
guess he's in Fantastic Beast or in a Harry Potter
Perfect.
J.K.
reference.
Rowling.
Yeah.
But
They have a statue of it, right?
They have multiple statues.
Yeah.
There's literally like 6 of them. 6 statues and billboards of Hodags can be spotted along the main roads. So one of them's wearing a cowboy boots.
Oh.
One of them has a guitar. One is there's actually a Hodag bar too, where there's a Hodag being displayed.
dude, I know where I'm going.
But the biggest one, I
Yeah.
think, is outside the Rhinelander Chamber of Commerce. It's its own copyrighted and trademarked Hodag statue
Ooh.
on the front of the building.
Does it have a big butt like the Mothman statue?
Yeah.
Doubtful.
This kind of reminds me of the Jackalope Town, wherever that is. I forget the state, but Jackalope Town. Yeah.
Jackalope Town and Jackalope State.
But going back to the trees thing, there's a logging museum too, and the
sick.
logging museum has a lot of Hodag statues, like taxidermied Hodags and
Oh,
like
sick.
Whoa.
put together things. There's
Have you been to hodag.com?
I don't know. Maybe.
Well,
I'd have to check my
hodag.com
sources.
is the Hodag Country Festival, which is held in
Oh
Rhinelander.
yeah.
Oh.
And if you guys are interested in going this year, it's July 9th through 12th, 2020, with singers like Darius Rucker and Trace Adkins.
Oh my goodness.
Um,
That's wild.
I will not be
Does it
attending.
have, do they just call it the Hodag? Because why not?
Well,
like,
it's in Rhinelander, so
Yeah?
like, just do it, dude.
But I mean, like, the Hodag is the sports mascot for the high schools. You can buy merch everywhere, t-shirts,
Oh.
mugs.
What about the Hungry Hodag app? It's a
I've
it's
never
a
heard of
literally a game.
Hungry
It's just
Hodag.
like one of those games where the things fall from the sky. And you have to catch
like
them.
cut the rope or
But
something.
Is
it's-
it bulldogs?
No.
Oh, no.
No,
It should be.
They woof when you
No, and you're just the Hodag up the bottom moving, just catching food, and it's all like fruit, but
Can you imagine
know.
if it was bulldogs?
don't bite the dynamite. Like,
Oh
Don't
no.
buy the dynamite. That's amazing.
I read that the town started a presidential campaign for the Hodag
whoa,
in
Like
2016.
Hodag for president?
Yeah.
whoa.
I don't understand.
It didn't get very far,
No.
but they tried.
Hey man.
Where would they have gone with that? I ran a campaign when I was in high school for Will Smith to be president. It was all fictional, of course. But we were the Fresh Party.
Did he win?
Oh.
Did he win?
He did actually win the election in my class.
He had
We
he had
voted.
he had the White House painted like the spray colors
Yeah.
that
It's Douglas, Wyoming for the jackalope, by the way.
Hey.
Oh, how'd you remember?
Fucking brain power, dude.
Cosmically
Douglas,
attained
Wyoming.
it.
That's right. Yeah,
So-
Jackalope Town.
So if we were gonna put the Hodag in the Cryptid
Whoa,
Coliseum-
wait.
No.
Whoa.
I have
All right.
more.
All right.
It's
Go ahead,
poetry
go ahead.
Because I
time.
brought up the Attack of the Hodag documentary,
Oh yeah, that's
correct?
right. You did.
Tell it, yeah.
Yeah.
Cut this out if you want. It doesn't have to
Yeah.
stay. They don't need to know we fight.
Yeah, no worries. So this documentary I found on YouTube. I'm not particularly sure how I found it because I left it open on my tabs for like several weeks before I actually watched it. So I forgot where it originated from. But anyways, it's about half an hour long, and I've included it on a public playlist on the Cryptid Campfire YouTube page. So if you are feeling curious enough to watch this documentary, just go to our YouTube channel and you'll be able to find it pretty quick. But yes, I don't think I would call it a documentary because it doesn't really tell you anything about the Hodag.
So what's it talk about for 40 minutes?
It's so this is what happens, all right? So there'll be like, the Hodag was causing a stir with the lumberjacks, and then it would cut to a scene of lumberjacks talking about like things that vaguely kind of relate to the Hodag, and it was also very explicit with those recreation scenes.
Oh no.
And then it would cut back.
Were people naked or something?
No, it just like the language they would use, you know, just
Oh,
real.
I was
real-
like, did Shepard get a little too friendly with the
Oh
Hodag?
no.
They barely mentioned
He did
Shepard
catch
at
a
all.
female Hodag.
Oh my god.
Yeah,
Supposedly already had the babies when captured. But
oh,
who really
no.
knows?
Yeah, so anyways, I think my favorite quote of the documentary was, even the sheriff of the county was getting concerned about the big to-do over what didn't exist. Or did it? And then it cut to a scene of this guy telling the sheriff, he's like, we gotta do something about the Hodag. Not you too, Johnny! And then that was it. That was point made, I guess. Not sure what that was supposed to, convey. Anyways, the ending of the documentary I found extremely interesting.
Spoiler alert!
I'm gonna spoil it, and I feel like you should go watch it because it is amazing with the visuals. They include this little poem like a Hodag poem, and it's awesome. And I have included it here, and now I will say it aloud.
Thank you. Should we snap?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, man.
we do that when it's over, don't we?
After,
yeah.
Oh, okay, sorry.
We all have to drink expensive coffee and smoke gross cigarettes while he does it.
Yeah,
and wear a beret?
Yeah, with little scruffy goatees.
So it begins like this. The moon is out, but it is dark, deep in the woods around the park. The lake lies silent late at night, with just a glimmer of reflected light. The lonely figure of a man stops in his tracks. Good heavens, what was that? Was it the rustling of some leaves, moved by the gentle evening breeze? He takes a step with caution now, then waiting for another sound, he does not dare to turn around. Then suddenly, out from the dark, it's glowing red, and like a spark, comes closer now. What does he do but run and scream? There's a groan and a gleam of huge red eyes, and then comes steam. The nostrils of a beast that is about to have a feast. The man is gone now, the beast still there, having had its evening fare. A logger's meal, just one of few, who became a Hodag stew.
Whoa.
And that's the poem.
I disagree with the stew part because clearly the Hodag ate him raw. So
Well, all the blood, and we're 70% water, so blood, water, stew
is a brewing.
I'm joking.
Hey, man.
I agree with Jasmine.
Say what you will, but I think Eminem still got it.
I forgot to snap.
I'm not
Yeah,
snapping
you
for
wrote
Eminem.
that?
Yeah.
Sure, yeah.
New mixtape fire.
Yeah.
Fire. Okay,
But,
now
yeah.
can we put him in the Coliseum?
Yeah, well, yes.
Oh, violence. Jasmine's hungry for the violence.
I want to know who dies.
Are
All right.
we ready?
Tell us, tell us,
Go
tell
to
us.
the Cryptid Coliseum. The camera opens on a small farmhouse
All
surrounded
right.
by vast cornfields.
Courage the Cowardly Dog's making an appearance.
The middle of nowhere,
Yes!
America.
Yes! Literally, Courage the Cowardly Dog.
The ground shakes and the wind blows in an almost deafening cloud of noise. A sudden flash, and then quiet. Silence. There, a huge structure stands tall. A large shadow looms. It's Cryptid Coliseum!
Oh, what? Wait, it's traveling.
Yeah!
Oh, wow.
Interdimensionally now. It just shows up at random places. The big metal gate opens up, and the Hodag scrambles out from underneath the giant sewer grate. The smell causes the crowd to bleed from their eyes. It's so bad.
It's so pungent.
But then as a loud piercing yowl is heard throughout the auditorium, and the air grows slightly colder as a long black form shoots out from behind a giant metal door. It's the Tassel Worm.
Oh,
a new guy. Okay.
It's returning. It's furthering its violent journey to glory. And so the Hodag,
So wait, does this mean the Tatzelworm won its last battle?
maybe, or is this a new one? You decide the headcanon here at Cryptid Campfire. But we have the showdown of a strange legendary beast of old American lore versus the medieval creature of a bygone brutal Europe. Who wins? You decide. Epic cryptid battles of history.
I knew you were going to do that.
Interesting.
Right on.
Now, see, my question is, which Hodag is in the arena? Is it the 200-pound one, or is it the 7-foot one that Shepard had in the tent?
It's the one from the photo with all the lumberjacks. The little tiny plush-sized one.
That's funny.
What do you guys think
It's good.
of the Hodag?
I liked it.
Good.
The Hodag?
Fun story, classic Americana.
I like the ones that have very concise stories and, like, parameters. Like, I read basically everything I could about this creature. I'm well informed on it. I understand the sightings. I know what the reasons for it was. It wasn't as daunting as some of the other ones we've done.
There was no interdimensional window falling.
Yep.
No Men in Black.
None of that.
No Russian agent stories, so that's good. Nice, simple, classic story. And I think that's it for the
I
Hodag.
think so
Really,
too.
yeah.
I think we had a fun time.
Mm-hmm. And if I would like to find you on the interwebs.
Oh, if you want to find me on Instagram and Twitter, you can find me at Alex Daikaiju. That's Alex Daikaiju. I'm gonna start posting more random Cryptid Pie sketches, and keep a lookout. Maybe make a suggestion. And if I wanted to find you,
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram as well. My name is the same on both platforms. It's Jasmine May with JasmineMaewith. My research for today's episode came from Roadside America, Skeptical Inquirer, Milwaukee Magazine, Hoaxes.org, USA Today Network Wisconsin, Wassa Daily Herald, WisconsinHistory.org, Hodag Press, and the YouTube channels of The Carpetbagger and Inside Edition.
ooh, what about you, sir? Over
Your
there,
turn.
Steve Jobs.
Please don't.
Answer the question.
Now, if you want to find me on the Instagram, you can find me at symbol Myers Stephen. That's MYERSSTEFFEN.
Well, what if I wanted to find your SoundCloud?
Oh, well, that's a whole nother story.
That's
You-
Patreon exclusive, baby.
Yeah. My
Sign up.
SoundCloud's at Lil Spirit. The S is with the money sign.
'Cause that's what we be making, baby.
Let me know. I'm about to break 2K.
What?
And what about you, fella?
You can find me at the Eli Watson on Instagram. And you can also...
Is there a better way to reach you?
Yeah,
Eli's
my
telephone
phone number
number
is... so
I
you-
have that information if anybody wants. Just kidding. No, I'm not taking
For a
bribes.
price.
Jasmine, you're
Price.
selling my information.
Yeah,
Is that
I
why
am.
I'm getting so many spam emails?
For the cost
Somebody
of
stole my identity.
For the cost of $5, you too could have Eli Watson's phone number.
Patreon exclusive.
I'll give you a social number.
Dang. Ruthless. You can also follow the official at Cryptid Campfire Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. Not sure what that was, but
We have a website too.
we
Whoa.
have cryptidcampfire.com. You can purchase your official Cryptid Campfire t-shirt.
Match us. Twinsies.
Yeah.
Twinsies.
Tag us if you guys do order a shirt.
Quadruplets.
Yeah.
Post it on Instagram and tag us. We'll repost it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
And if
we
you
will.
want to talk to us, you can email us at cryptidcampfirepodcast@gmail.com.
Yeah.
And if you love us so much you want to donate money, please go to our Patreon,
Ooh.
where we have exclusive episodes along with exclusive images,
Why'd you choose the word images?
because that's what they are.
Photos sounds less scandalous.
Photografia.
He's like,
Images.
we've got exclusive images.
we got
We have exclusive Toby video files,
Video file.
and yeah, we're always experimenting with the Patreon. So
Yeah, get in early. You never know what you're gonna get.
yes, sir.
You might get Eli's phone number.
Whoa! Sign me
Anyways.
up.
Thank you guys, and we'll see you next week.
Bye.
Hi-yo!